Hi, Digital Golf Doc here, and I've got a message for the older golfers who always say, I'm old and stiff and flexible. Well, I can help. No, I can't turn back the clock and make you younger, but I can give you the key exercises needed, the best ones, to improve flexibility for someone in your age group. The first one we'll talk about is book openers. Before I show you the exercise, let's talk about why. We target thoracic spine because it's one of the most commonly stiff areas in older folks. So first, what is the thoracic spine? Well, it's that kind of mid and upper back area. I can help you find it. Just poke on your sides, find your ribs, then find your collarbone at the base of your neck. Everything between there is the thoracic spine. What you might notice is it's that part that gets rounded over and real stiff in some older folks because they weren't doing these mobility exercises or they started them too late. Now, the chances are if you get to them today, you can reverse some of that if you have it or prevent it from ever happening. But you've got to target this area of your back because it's so easy to lose mobility here. And without mobility here, we simply cannot rotate. So let's look to improve it. Let's make our way down to your side to that book opener position, which is laying down, feet and knees bent, arm out to the front, head rested on the ground, or you can put a hand under it, you can put a pillow here, whatever's comfortable for you. The key is to make sure there's no movement that occurs between our lower body and our low back. That's going to focus everything up our spine. So, starting in this position, we're going to roll all the way open, chest up to the ceiling. Now, you probably won't go as far as me unless you've done an exercise like this before. Once you're at this back position, you're going to take a nice deep breath. Exhale. And as you exhale, you're going to push your shoulder blade toward the ground, squeezing out that last little bit of mobility. You're going to come forward, set your hands together or your hand on the ground if you're supporting your head, and then you're going to repeat that. And we want to do this 10 to 15 times for 2 to 3 sets every single day. If you're really stiff and inflexible, you might need to do more than that. If you feel like you're doing pretty well, you can probably get away with a little bit less and focus on some of these other key exercises for your upper back, which you can see popping up on your screen here. I'll let you finish up the rest of those on your own, and we're going to go on and we're going to talk about the next best exercises for an older stiff golfer. The next area we're going to talk about is the hips. In the golf swing, we get rotation from two primary areas. The first one we already covered in the thoracic spine. The second one is the hip joint. I'm sure you can picture that ball and socket and how the hip would spin to create rotation. To improve our mobility here, you're going to have a seat with your legs out in front of you in a V position. You can prop your hands behind for support. And we're going to focus on the right leg first. I want to first pull my toes back, get a little stretch in my calf, maybe my hamstring, even the sciatic nerve. I want to press out with my foot, almost like someone's sitting there pulling it toward them. And once I've done those two things, I'm going to roll out as far as I can and in as far as I can. Now, you may not go very far in the first attempt, but it'll loosen up as you work on it. External rotation is almost always easier than internal rotation, especially for men. That's another exercise we're going to repeat 10 times on each hip, 2 to 3 sets throughout the day. Again, the stiffer you are, the more of these I would do so that you can improve your mobility faster. Let's go to the next piece. We're going to go to exercise 3 of 4 on the best exercises for golfers 60 plus. You may have noticed with the first two exercises, we went here and here and potentially skipped something very obvious in the middle. And you're right, the next thing we're going to address is our lumbar spine and our pelvis, which tend to work together very closely. You're going to need a band for this exercise, or at least the best version of it. If you don't have a band, you can start without one, but I suggest getting one because it really does take the exercise to the next level. I'll put a link to this band in the description of this video so it's easier for you to find. So I'm going to go down onto my hands and knees. If I have a band, I'm going to pull it across my back. I'm going to loop my thumbs into that band and set them on the ground. I'm going to let the band pull me into an arch, and then I'm going to rotate my pelvis and push the other way. And I'm going to repeat this 15 to 20 repetitions, again for 2 to 3 sets throughout the day. Now, this has been a little bit uncomfortable for some clients initially when I've given it to them, but it tends to loosen up with time. It's going to be that piece that connects and allows you to transfer force from your hip rotation to your upper back rotation. And that's why it's so important for every golfer, not just older golfers. Now we're going to go on to exercise 4, and then you can go start performing these every day, and we're going to see that flexibility improve quickly. Last but not least is the shoulders. The joint is designed similar to the hip joint. It's another ball and socket. The difference is it doesn't have to absorb the forces from the ground. It also tends to stiffen up probably as fast as any joint as I see in all of my clients. So it's important that you stay on top of it. We're going to do this by stretching out the pec and the internal rotators, because when we go into the swing, we go into external rotation. Just check this out. At the top of the swing, you see that massive amount of external rotation? Good luck if you start losing that, making a great swing. So we're going to use a pec stretch, usually in a doorway or against a wall for this. So I'm going to use this here because I think you'll be able to see it pretty well on camera. I'm going to put my forearm against this sturdy surface. I'm going to then lean my body forward until I get a stretch in the front part of my shoulder and the chest. So that stretch is going to be right through here. So if I come from this way, you'll see how I bring my body forward and get a stretch there. Now, if you want to do this as a bonus and make this exercise even more effective, you're going to start to feel a stretch, and then you're going to slide your arm up and down, making this more of a dynamic mobility movement. It's also going to mimic the golf swing a little bit better because a lot of us have a different position of our hands. Some of us a little higher, some of us a little lower. We're going to perform this for 15 repetitions, 2 to 3 times a day. We're going to up it if we're inflexible. Now, some of you may notice when you try this that you can't even get your forearm upright. That's okay. So what you would do is just get as close as you can. If you're on a wall, your elbow is going to run into it first, and you're just going to start applying that stretch here. And hopefully, over time, it loosens up, and you can start doing the traditional version of the exercise. That's going to do it for this video, but that does not do it for the mobility exercises you should be performing. These are the 4 best, and I suggest you do them as a primary focus. Now, as you have more time, I would get into some of these other mobility exercises in the videos popping up around me. Now, I want to see you all get better, so try them for a few weeks, come back, leave a comment below, and let me know whether you're able to improve. If you're having trouble or you want me to assess your form, you can send me an email at digitalgolfdoc@gmail.com, and I'm happy to help you make some personalized tweaks so that you can improve your mobility and become a better golfer. Thanks for checking in, and I'll see you on the next video.